YouTube, this is Becky from Becky Writes, and this is the Authortube Newbie Tag. This tag was originally created by Jenna Streety, and I am going to link her video down below along with all of the questions in case you'd like to do this video. I wasn't tagged by anyone because I'm an Authortube newbie, but I wanted to do this so that those of you in Authortube verse can get to know me a little bit better, and so that all of my booktube folks can see my Authortube info and why I'm a writer and how I got to writing. Question 1 is, how did you find out about Authortube? The short story of this is that I used to be on booktube and I posted a bunch for about 2.5 years. I took a bit of a hiatus, but I kept watching videos because I am nothing if not a consistent lurker. The algorithm led me to a video by Alexa Dunn. I think she was promoting Brightly Burning at the time, and I started watching some of her videos on craft, and that led me to other authortubers, and I was hooked. So it's been about 1.5 years and I'm tired of lurking. I was ready to come back to YouTube, and I decided to do a joint Authortube and booktube channel. Question number 2 is, what genres do you mostly write in? For me, I am a fantasy and speculative fiction girl. I mostly write YA, although I want to dabble both in adult and in middle grade. I'm really interested in low fantasy and urban fantasy, though I have lots of ideas for high fantasy stories as well, but my heart really is in near fantasy, things that are just a little bit different than the world that we live in and how magic systems would work in that kind of context. I also have a deep love for historical fantasy, and 2 of my manuscripts have been historical fantasies. The first one is a story about werewolves in the Civil War, and the second one is a fantastical retelling of Red Riding Hood in 1950s Montana, so I really do love historical fiction and fantasy. But I'm also dabbling in the cute, quirky rom-com land. Not saccharine, not fluffy, but that sort of awkward, quirky stuff. That might be a sweet spot for me. Question number 3 is, what is your preferred tense, point of view, and category? Third person limited, past, and usually I write YA. However, my current work in progress is a first person present, which is a totally different form and style than I'm used to, but it's been a nice change and a fun challenge. Question number 4, are you a plotter, a pantser, or a plantser? I am definitely a plantser. I like to have a rough outline, and I do mean rough. Basically, I like to plot my major beats, and that gives me a roadmap for the direction I believe the story is heading in, but it doesn't dictate how I get to each one of my beats. That is part of my discovery writing. I love discovering the voice and the characters along the way, so having my beats plotted, but giving myself the freedom to figure out how I get from point A to point B to point C and so on is exactly the right mesh for me. Question number 5 is, are you self-published, traditionally published, or yet to be published? I'm definitely yet to be published, and my focus right now is on the traditional publishing track. I really want to get a literary agent and publish traditionally, but I'm not opposed to eventually self-publishing if this track doesn't work out, or if I have to write one kind of work for traditional publishing, but I want to explore some things that maybe aren't marketable. I'm open to self-publishing. But as of right now, the only stuff I've published are some poetry and an essay in religion and Doctor Who, time, relative dimensions, and faith. Question number 6 is, what publishing house, agent, or imprint represents you, or what would your dream publishing house, agent, or imprint be? There are so many dreams that I have. Basically, what I want is a literary agent who wants to be a collaborative partner. I mean, there are actual literary agents on my dream list. I think everybody who writes fantasy has Susie Townsend and Holly Root on their dream list. But ultimately, what I want in an agent is someone who sees me as a partner and a collaborator and someone who I'm going to build a career with for decades. I want someone who's going to be a cheerleader, but is also going to give me the tough love that I need to write my very best. As far as the publishing houses that I dream of, I mean, I think every fantasy writer dreams of Tor. As a YA writer, Wednesday Books is another high imprint on my list. Of course, Harper Teen, Balzer and Bray, Simon & Schuster, Pulse, all of these imprints that are designed for teens that have really strong history of sales. Those are the imprints that I'm looking at, and I'm hoping one day I will get published with. Question number 7, what Authortube related videos can we expect from your channel? You can expect to journey with me as I am in the querying trenches, as I am hoping to land a literary agent. Of course, I'll talk about craft, and I will talk about my works in progress and take you along vlog style for some of that. But I think you will see a lot of what it means to query, how we stay positive in the midst of what can be a really daunting and difficult journey. You can also expect videos on project management, particularly for people who work full-time jobs and have families. I think I'm on the older end of the Authortube and BookTube community, and because of that, there aren't a lot of people who are talking about how you balance a full-time job and family obligations. I'm a caregiver and a primary caregiver, so I have a lot of people who are depending upon me and my emotional time, not just my mental space. So writing takes both mental and emotional space. How do you juggle all of those things? So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about project management for people who lead really, really busy lives. And finally, I think you can expect a lot of Authortube and BookTube crossover content. I was a booktuber for a long time, and I was right at the cusp of breaking out before I abandoned my BookTube channel to move and get married and have children. But I'm back, and my love of books and literature and writing, they're all interrelated. I can't do one without the other. Even when I was a booktuber, I had writing updates because I didn't know Authortube existed, and it might not have existed at the time. So I'm happy to be in this space and to be making crossover content and to be talking both about the finished books that we love and the things that are works in progress. Question number 8 is, when did you start writing? I've been writing ever since I was a kid. I think that's a bit of a cop-out answer, but it's true. I remember writing little stories as a small child, but as far as serious writing as an adult for a publication market, I started writing my very first finished manuscript in college. I left it alone when I went to grad school and really picked it up and did a massive overhaul after I graduated during my very first ever full-time job. It was a really great learning experience, and I spent hours working on that manuscript, and I did eventually query it in 2016, and it didn't go anywhere, so I let it go. But I was really, really excited to get back to writing and to realize that this is something that I still love and I still want to spend a lot of time on. Question number 9 is, what is the first story that you ever wrote? I have no idea, to be completely honest. I was writing little stories for my parents from the time that I could write, basically. But I do remember in 3rd grade writing the Tupperware mysteries, and I have no idea what they were about. I don't think we even have them anymore, but I had a folder that had the 3 prongs in it, and I had the notebook paper, and I wrote my little mystery stories about Tupperware or something. All I remember is that they were the Tupperware mysteries, and I was so proud of that. So while it's probably not the first story I ever wrote, it's definitely the first one that I remember writing. Question number 10, what authors have inspired your writing the most? As a fantasy writer, the top 2 inspirations that I have are Garth Nix and Robin McKinley. They're also 2 of my very favorites. I love them, and my first novel was absolutely a love song to Garth Nix and how much I love the Sabriel trilogy. Other authors that have inspired me over the years are Jane Austen, of course, and her ability to use banter and social insight to create a really compelling story. The poet Michael Longley and the way he plays with language. And of course, more contemporary writers like Leigh Bardugo, Laini Taylor, and Maggie Stiefvater, because they create really interesting fantasy worlds, and I am hopeful to one day be among their ranks. Question number 11, do you schedule your writing sessions or do you write whenever you have time? Well, I work a full-time job and I have 4 children, so I absolutely have to schedule my writing sessions. But even before that, I always tried to have on my calendar specific sessions. Now, when I was single, I definitely wrote whenever I had free time, whenever I had the inclination, but I did still schedule time. One of the things that I have learned is that if you do not make time for writing, you won't write. There will always be something that gets in your way. There will always be an emergency. There will always be an email to send. There will always be something that will get in your way. So if you don't put it on your calendar and guard that time, you won't write. Currently, I mostly write on my lunch hour, and then I occasionally try to schedule time when my daughters are napping. For those of you who don't know, I have twin 3.5-month-old daughters. That makes writing at home a little bit more challenging, so I do try to take advantage of my lunch hour at work, where I will close everything, I'll bring my lunch to my desk, and I will try to just focus on getting 1 or 2 scenes written or 1 chapter reviewed in that succinct sort of 50 minutes, 60 minutes of time that I have. Question number 12, do you use a computer, a typewriter, or write everything by hand, or do you use a blend? I am a computer person. I think computers are the most efficient way of writing. I like to be able to copy and paste and move things around. If I think something isn't working, I can copy it and put it somewhere else to take it out and read it without, and then I can just copy it back in. Absolutely, 100%. I'm a computer girl. That being said, when I get stuck, I write by hand. So if I'm in the zone, all computer all day long. But if I'm stuck, I will get a notebook out and I will write some things by hand to get my creative juices flowing. And question number 13, what are you most looking forward to now that you are a part of Authortube? I'm looking forward to community. It's the reason I liked BookTube, and it's the reason I wanted to join Authortube. I am looking for community. Currently, I live in rural West Virginia, and while I really love my job and I love the town that I live in, and I have a wonderful and supportive spouse and some good friends, there isn't a writing community here that I can lean into and do things with. I would love to be involved in a real life writers group, but there isn't anything within a couple-hour drive of me. So the online space is a place to connect with other people who are in the same publishing journey that I'm on, people who have the same writing goals and dreams and hopes that I have. So I'm hoping to build community and connect with all of you, and I am so excited to learn from you, to grow with you, to celebrate your wins, and to pat you on the back, and to be a part of each other's writing, publishing careers. Thank you guys for hanging with me. I'm sorry that I have a little bit of a cold and I definitely am feeling a bit under the weather, but Mama's got to get her videos done when she can. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you haven't been tagged and you want to do the newbie Authortube tag, consider this your tag. Comment down below and let me know, why are you on Authortube? Why are you watching Authortube? Why do you make Authortube videos? I'm super curious. I would like to know what brings us all together. What motivates you to watch these videos rather than all the videos you could be watching on YouTube? I hope you guys are doing well and you all feel a bit better than I feel because Mama has a cold. Thank you all for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!